And now we're going to move on to Alan Walker D.Gray-man 3rd uniform, which is probably one of my most difficult costumes to make, because this little like red threading, you probably won't see it, but there's like a stitch on the top and then a stitch on the bottom of it to keep it on. And then we made the rose cross and we embroidered that, and just, we actually had really big issues finding a big enough red button, so we ended up making it, and we bought the little chains for it. And then his pants have these like little, once again the red lining, which has it on the top and the bottom of it, and then these little doodads, and then we made his little butt pouch, which actually has something in it. And it's like, we actually made this out of pleather because I was like, we were running out of the red silk and we decided this would kind of work best for it. And then his belt, which we had, the buttons for this costume are ridiculous, and then his little thing that goes off of his butt pouch and hooks up onto this, and this is actually pretty heavy. So that's kind of his bottoms. This costume, I have a love-hate relationship with it because it's a really coarse fabric, and for the only convention I will ever wear him to, ever did, and ever will wear him to, I didn't bring tights, so like I ended up with this really crazy like rug burn sort of thing on the inside of my legs, because it was like, the fabric is so coarse, and just walking around it like chafed my legs, so they're like all raw and almost bleeding by the end of the day, which is terrible, and it was painful as hell, let me tell you. I'm really proud of this costume though, because everybody thinks I bought it. There's no tag in it anywhere, so no, I didn't buy it. See? No tags. I made it from scratch, and it really kind of like, it's one of those things where it's like I made it and then people keep telling me, oh, you didn't make it, you had to have bought that, because there's no way it can be like that crazy good quality without you buying it, and it really pisses me off because I worked my ass off on this costume. And I looked kind of online, I haven't looked recently, so the prices have probably changed since like last year, or the beginning of the year, because, you know, prices change all the time, but the cheapest I could find this costume, the way that was good quality and the way I liked it, was like $300, and I made this costume for 50 bucks, like buttons, chain, everything included, because the person I sew with, like, she's kind of like, I call her my sewing teacher, but she's really just like this really cool lady I met at cheerleading, and she's more of like my grandma than my sewing teacher. She's like the only grandma I would consider my grandma, because my real grandmas are kind of bitchy and not the greatest. But she had all this like red, like silky fabric that we like turned into this essentially, which is really nice. And we figured we have this down to a T, so if we have to like line anything with lining, you know, little stripes, we can do that in like 10 minutes flat. And I pretty much made this one entirely myself. Like, she didn't give me as much guidance as she usually does. And I debuted him Wasabi 2011, and my friends would know that was a terrible convention. It was just full of drama, and I was pretty much the one everybody decided to vent to that convention, and it was really wearing on me, so I kind of just, this costume was kind of like ruined for me because everybody treated me like crap in it. But I love the costume, it's just, well, my wig is totally destroyed, clearly. I kind of ignored that for the convention. I was like, whatever, I don't feel like buying a new wig for him. But he just like, he turned out so amazing, and then everybody treated me like shit, so it kind of like really ruined the costume for me, which is extremely and incredibly unfortunate because of how high grade this costume actually turned out being. And it actually has no conwear. Like, conwear on my Alan, like the fact that it's fraying all kinds of crazy right here, and I don't have conwear on Neji, but you know, he doesn't fit as well. This costume fits like a glove and didn't fall apart at all at convention. Like, one of these like little dangly doodads did fall off, but I can't figure out where it was coming from, so I just kind of ignored that factor, and I'm probably never going to put it back on the jacket because it looks fine. without it. But it's kind of like really depressing that I really don't feel like wearing him anymore because everybody treated me like crap, and I don't feel like having another convention turn out that way, so I've decided that it's just best to leave him, let him lay. You know, he's completely con-retired. Like, I'll take him out for a photo shoot or something, but I'm not bringing him to another convention because, like, I embroidered his name on. I literally cut all of this out and, like, made it. You know, convention is in March, and I started working on it at the end of December, so it was quite the project, and to have it be ruined is just kind of like, well, you know, fuck you, I'm not going to wear it anymore because you guys all treated me like crap. Sort of one of those things. And his wig is messed up, and I have to wear tights, like, with it now because I really don't want to, like, have bleeding obnoxiousness, like, on the inside of my knees anymore because that was really painful, and the next day I was just like, I just want to sit down, I don't want to walk anymore, because it hurts so bad. And so I have to wear tights with it along with my binding and an undershirt, and it's just like an extremely hot costume, not to mention the fact that it's black and I have really thick fabric for it, and it's lined, so it's like the hottest costume I own. And most of the two conventions in Colorado are both kind of like summer cons, like they're warmer. March, depending, it really just depends on like what the weather's deciding to do, but September is so freaking hot it's not even worth it. So that's kind of Alan Walker, third uniform. Debuted him in the beginning of the year, and I've worn him 3 or 4 times since then. And he's not going back to another convention. And that's just kind of it about the costume. That's all I really have to say about him.